Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
We're going to have to repeat some of that. Can I welcome everyone to the hybrid meeting of the Council? I ask everyone to mute their microphones at all times, unless invited to speak by myself. Members should be mindful that microphones, when switched on, are sensitive and may broadcast other conversations being held in the vicinity. I would like to also ask members, when it's their turn to speak into the microphone so that they can be clearly heard in the chamber. Now, we move on to the next. Can I also extend a welcome to our new Head of Planning, Robbie McNaughter. I just can't see him here, but Robbie, you're very welcome. Good to have you on board. Moving on now to Alderman Paul Berry, who has asked me to speak in relation to the passing of Blake McCaughey. Paul, or Alderman Berry.
Thank you to the Lord Mayor for allowing me in at this commencement of the meeting. Could I first of all ask Lord Mayor that you would send a letter of sympathy and condolences to the family of young Blake McCaughey if you haven't already done so. Young Blake, as we all know, and I'm sure all the members have noticed in the media outlets over this past number of days, a young lad at 18 years of age with many issues throughout his 18 years, sadly passed away just last week. And he was a true legend to many people, and anybody that knew Blake in all of his adversity, he was one inspirational young lad. In fact, his mother, just a day after he had passed away, had put a beautiful message on Facebook in relation to him and stated clearly, "Beautiful, amazing and inspirational Blakey boy, today you left us for heaven and you have left a pain that I cannot describe." And Christine and Andy and the Uncle Neil and his wee sister Pixie, I have no regrets whatsoever, Lord Mayor, because of the care and attention that they had given to Blake and making his 18 years a very happy time on this earth. Since Blake was born, he's had many challenges because of the rare condition that he had and the complex medical conditions that he had. But over the 18 years and throughout his 18 years, he was a determined young lad and focused, and he never let those complications beat him. And we all, within the town of Tandragee and district, because he was known a lot more outside it, admired his courage and his spirit during his journey of adversity. He didn't let this define him and was always outgoing and remained positive. And he was known, as I say, in Tandragee, but right across Northern Ireland because of his love and passion for the Belfast Giants and Portadown True Blues. Belfast Giant players and coaches and many supporters lined the streets of Tandragee on Friday for his funeral. And the Belfast Giants done a lovely Guard of Honour entering the Church of Ireland in Tandragee, and Portadown True Blues done the March of Honour beside him as they walked the whole way up Tandragee Street. This was his passion, this was his love, and he will be severely missed. Tandragee came to a silent and sombre standstill on Friday as hundreds attended his funeral, and the church and the church hall was packed to capacity because of the admiration that everybody had for Blake and the family. His mother said at the funeral that he had over 100 operations and procedures in his lifetime, but yet through all of that, he still remained positive and still remained very active. And Christine had said it even at the funeral, that if love could have saved Blake, he never would have left us. So to Christine, to Andrew, to Pixie and to Uncle Neil and the wider family circle and friends, I would just like to offer our deepest sympathy to the family at this incredibly difficult time. Thank you.
Okay, and I will have written to the family, Alderman Berry. Alderman Baxter.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and just to be associated with those comments and to pass on our party's sympathy to the family of young Blake. Blake left a mark on lots of people's lives in the area, as has been set out before. I think we've all seen something of that even over the last few days. I first met Blake in 2013 when I was Mayor of Craigavon. And with Blake's very complex medical condition, he needed a very special type of wheelchair. And his mother, being the very formidable lady that she is, as a lot of parents with children with additional needs are formidable parents, put her heart and soul along with the family into a charity then at that time called Blake's Wheels. And Blake's Wheels had to raise a lot of money to get the wheelchair for Blake. And I remember here at a reception with his family, when Blake was just 5 years of age, I had the pleasure of presenting Blake with that wheelchair. And ever since that, we've always kept a close eye on Blake's journey through adversity, through everything that he went through, and such a young shoulders. And I think, as Alderman Barry said, there are over 100 operations. But Blake's family, I think it's no secret to say in particular, the dedication of his mum, Christine, and the fight that she put up for Blake and everything that she got for him. But give him a life that was full of all these different opportunities. And when we talk about the family, we talk about not only his close family, with Pixie, his sister, and his dad, Andy, and his uncle and godfather, Neil, who were all very, very dedicated to Blake and his issues, but also, been mentioned, the Portadown True Blues family, even the Sierra School family, the Belfast Giants family, who paid a lovely tribute to Blake there just at the weekend as well. And also the Liverpool Supporters Club family, because he was an ardent supporter of Liverpool as well. And he had all these opportunities, and he met lots of different people and left a mark on all their lives. Just about how somebody so young with so much adversity could appear just to be so happy and so full of life, given that all the problems that he faced. So just really to pass on our sympathies to the family at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Julie Flaherty.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, Alderman Barry, for bringing this to the floor of the Chamber. I, like you, I think just really couldn't take it in the week that was had in Tandragee and the week that was had in that lovely family home, usually full of fun and laughter and excitement. And he was quite the character, as most of you will know. He's funny character. Good wee creator, as we would say. And as I said, I'm not going to repeat everything we all, I think, knew Blake from far and wide, but I said the same thing. I think it was said too by yourself, Alderman Barry, and I said it to Christine, you know, they can have no regrets, and that's the only thing that you can, because there are no words of comfort, particularly at this particular juncture so early, but have no regrets, because every living fibre of that family was put into giving that child the best life he possibly could. And for that, they might not feel it now, but that would be comfort for them. It is hard to put it into words, the impact that young fella and the family have made on so many, many people. But personally, I'll say this, that I met Blake when he was only about 3. Him and Christine were the first people that we met in the old Craigavon Hospital. Some might remember the old children's ward. And she was the first parent I met in July 2011. And I was a petrified first-time mother with a very sick child. And that lady put her arms around me from then until now. And now it's my turn to do it for her. So thank you very much for bringing this. And yes, happy to be associated with your words of sympathy in correspondence, Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Keith Radcliffe.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I'd like to be associated with all the comments here tonight. I'd like to thank Alderman Barry for bringing this forward as well. Even though Blake had a short life at just 18 and went through many difficulties, I think we have to be thankful about how many people that he really touched, his heart really touched with meeting people. You know, people, he might have been in pain and different things going on, but I think he really, any time we seen him at bomb parades or out and about, he was really happy. I think he touched a lot of people's hearts throughout his life, and I think that's what we need to remember. And I thought it was a lovely tribute at the weekend the Belfast Giants had made in remembrance. I thought it was really, really nice. And as Alderman Baxter's already touched on, he was a Liverpool supporter as well. He followed Liverpool greatly. So he did, and I'd just like to pass on my condolences to Christine, Andrew, Pixie and Neil. And as being a Liverpool supporter, you'll never walk alone. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Radcliffe. I want now to call on Councillor McElrath, who has asked me if he could speak in relation to the passing of Andrew Robinson in Portadown.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Many in the Chamber will be aware of the disappearance of Andrew Robinson close to the River Bann in Portadown on the 12th of November last year. Again, many of you will have watched and observed the lengthy and painstaking search for Andrew over the following 42 days. Andrew's body was finally found and recovered from the River Bann on Saturday the 27th of December. I just want to take a moment, Lord Mayor, and pay tribute to the unbelievable efforts of so many search and rescue organisations who volunteered their time, never gave up, and despite some awful weather conditions, they continued to persevere, to search day after day in order to bring Andrew home to his family. Many of the teams also travelled long distances every day to assist with the search. I want to say a special thank you in particular to Mark Hughes from Clonus and to Philip Hand from Newry. These two men, along with Stephen Bridges and Frank McDermott from Rockari Search and Rescue and East Coast Divers, went the extra mile. It was fitting, after spending so many days in the river searching, that Mark and Philip were the ones who found Andrew's body. I know the Robinson family circle will be forever grateful. I also know of at least 2 council staff, Lord Mayor, who helped with the search, and again that is deeply appreciated, along with the scores of churches, community groups and individuals who provided food, hot drinks and shelter for the volunteer rescue teams during the 6 weeks of the search. Finally, I just want to send my deepest condolences to the Robinson family circle, especially to Ruth and the boys, to Andrew's sisters and brother, and to his sister-in-laws and mother-in-law in particular, who never gave up hope and maintained a vigil at the River Bann every single day. Your courage and fortitude in the midst of heartbreak was truly remarkable, and despite setbacks and disappointment, you persevered and brought Andrew home. Lord Mayor, I believe we're going to try and organise an evening to recognise some of these people, and that is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McElrath. And I would want to echo what has been said by all members in relation to both the passings tonight and as Lord Mayor. Yes, I will do whatever I can to facilitate an evening for those who helped over the 6 weeks to try and find the body of Andrew Robinson. Moving on, members. Members will be aware last Thursday an announcement was made by Land and Property Services in relation to the draft rateable values and the reval that was done around them. Draft rateable values have left businesses as a result of this in the hospitality sector with a mixture of shock, anger and disbelief. This is a critical existential threat to hotels, restaurants and pubs across our borough and does not reflect real trading conditions on the ground. To that end, I hope members would support me whenever I call tonight, make a request that we have a presentation as soon as is possible, whether a council or committee from Hospitality Ulster, who are mostly impacted, and also from the Chief Executive of Land and Property Services, so that members can delve into this issue, which will impact not only businesses but jobs across our borough in the short term. I want to bring in Alderman Paul Berry.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you for raising this very important matter. And I'm happy to second your proposal because, as you quite rightly say, that this has created shock and anger and dismay within the business community that I know of. As one who's in the property, I've been speaking to businesses already in relation to the rates and the impact, even on small cafes. This will have a serious detrimental impact on businesses of this nature. And you're quite rightly saying that it is a critical threat. It is not it is not an empty threat. It is a critical threat, and it will force closures. It will force people to close up their livelihoods because of this particular announcement. In some cases, the figure going up over 200 to 300%, which is totally and utterly ridiculous. So I fully support the call for Hospitality Ulster to come in here, who are brilliant in representing the hospitality sector. And I think it's very important that we hear from them on the coalface on the ground, and also the CEO from Land and Property Services, because something clearly needs to be done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'll be brief. I just want to be associated with those remarks, but I think it's important we recognise that LPS didn't do this off their own bat. There's obviously a direction from Stormont to make this happen, and this is where, at this time of year, a lot of focus tends to come to places like this, where people will blame the council for rates rises. We all know that we've sat round the table for the last 12 months, line by line, budget by budget, as we try and plan for the future in a very prudent way. And it makes all that work in vain whenever we are doing our bit to help businesses and residents out there, that Stormont shafts them. And that's what it's been doing. So I think it's important that both Hospitality Ulster, but also that LPS come along and LPS give account for themselves and what directions they did get from Stormont in relation to this. Thank you.
Okay, are members content to the proposal? Thank you. On a brighter note then, on Saturday week ago, as Lord Mayor of this great borough, I had the opportunity to attend the Overloaded exhibition in Millennium Court in relation to hemochromatosis awareness. It was a fantastic exhibition, and it was used to highlight the fact that so many people across Northern Ireland in particular have it. It's estimated possibly 1 in 10 people have this disorder, and it's often known in places as the Celtic curse. So I just wanted to say I thought it was a very worthwhile afternoon. I saw several elected members from different parties there, and it was great to see them. And I would encourage anyone who has free time to go to Millennium Court. It runs until the 20th of March. Moving on then to apologies. Do we have any apologies tonight? Okay, I have a list of the members that are tuning in remotely. Alderman Ian Burns, Councillor Joy Ferguson, Councillor Paul Duffy, Councillor Brona Hockey, and Councillor Ashley Mallon. Okay, thank you for that. Moving on then to agenda item 2, and that is the council minutes. Can I have a proposer and seconder that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 15th of December are taken as read and approved as a correct record? Councillor Evans, you wish to propose?
I'm happy to propose, but I also want to raise something on the back of the ES3 2026, in which Councillor Hanlon was talking about the Christmas lights. Can I just ask why some of the Christmas lights are still up and when they'll all be taken down, please? Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody who wants to take that? It's just... Sorry? Yeah, is it not contained within the monthly? No. Just for clarity, Councillor Evans, you took that off the monthly minutes. Fair enough. Can you give us the reference again? Okay. Okay, I'm going to bring in Mark Halliday.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Evans. The contractor's just completing the takedown of the last of the items of the next couple of days, so it should be finished before the end of this week. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Okay, thank you for that. Coming back to the council minutes of that meeting, can I have a proposer and seconder? Councillor Evans proposed, seconded by Councillor Duffy, and agreed. Thank you. We're all agreed to adopt the decisions and move on. Declarations of interest. Anyone want to declare now, or we'll take them as we go along? Thank you. Agenda item 4.1 is committee minutes. Can I have a proposer and seconder that the Environmental Services Committee held on the 6th of January be taken and approved? Councillor Duffy, you're happy to propose. Thank you. Councillor McElrath, happy to second and agreed. Okay. Can I have a proposer and seconder for the Planning and Regulatory Services Committee held on the 7th of January to be taken as read and approved? Councillor Kevin Savage, thank you, and Councillor Murdow to second. Are we all agreed to adopt the recommendations within this committee? Thank you, and to move on, thank you. Can I have a proposer and seconder that the minutes of the Community and Wellbeing Committee held on the 12th of January be taken as read and approved? Alderman Barr, you're happy to propose, thank you. Councillor Hare, you happy to second? Thank you. All happy to adopt the recommendations and move on? Thank you. Agenda item 4.4, can I have a proposer and seconder for the Economic Development and Regeneration Committee held on the 13th of January be taken as and read as approved as a correct record? Councillor McClelland, happy to propose. Councillor Jude Mallon, happy to second. We all agreed? Thank you, members. Can I have a proposer and a seconder for the Governance, Resources and Strategy Committee meeting held on the 14th of January be taken as read and approved? Councillor Evans, you happy to propose? Councillor Mackle was an apology on that occasion, so can I have one other member please to second? Councillor Murdow, thank you. Are we all agreed to adopt the recommendations within that committee and happy to move on? Moving on to agenda item 5 is the schedule of correspondence. For noting, there are 3 items. Are we happy to note items 5.1, 2 and 3? Are we happy to note before I bring Councillor McClelland in? Thank you.
Lord Mayor, thank you for letting me in, and it's on item 5.3, the response from the dear Minister Muir. Lord Mayor, everybody knows that I own and operate an arable farming business and have no livestock, and it's in that context that I wish to make a couple of comments on the letter that we have received from the Minister. And I think I would start by saying that certainly within industry and certainly on the nitrates action programme stuff, there are hopeful signs perhaps that the Minister is listening. So, but I suppose the jury is still out. The 2 aspects of the letter that I would want to comment on would be number 1, ammonia, and number 2, it would be bovine TB. And I suppose on the ammonia emissions piece, when it's linked to planning, certainly within the farming industry, there would still be huge dissatisfaction in terms of how that's working, because we have the scenario where basically farmers aren't even allowed to replace existing cattle and pig sheds and so on. And if they were, that would immediately reduce emissions. It would immediately allow for improved animal welfare. And I think one of the blockages in that system comes with the DERA advisors and how they consult with shared environmental services. And then shared environmental services are one of the stakeholders, as members know, in planning applications. So that system clearly isn't working, Lord Mayor. And I suppose it's down to Minister Muir and his department. So I will leave my comments on that there. The second one I would want to talk about would be bovine TB. And, you know, we've established a TB stakeholder engagement body. Lord Mayor, frankly, we didn't need that to tell us that TB is rampant. It's out of control. And a line in the letter talked about a new consultation on the full range of potential wildlife intervention options. Lord Mayor, put bluntly, that is a controlled cull of infected badgers as a start to controlling bovine TB. And I'll finish by making a proposal, Lord Mayor, that Council write to Minister Muir requesting that DAERA immediately bring forward legislation to allow for a wildlife intervention at the earliest possible opportunity. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Okay, I want to bring in Councillor Kyle Savage.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Where do you start with this letter? You know, look, a lot of stuff in here, TB, for example, we're spending tens of millions a year on compensation to farmers. They're doing the same old thing that they have been doing this last 50 years. It needs to be addressed. If we look at the carbon footprinting project that's going in, this is going to have a detrimental effect on the future financial viability of a lot of our farms within Northern Ireland. We need to be tackling these issues. We can send letters all day long, every day of the week, but what does it actually achieve? You know, at the recent LEP meeting, we had this conversation with the Department of Economy, where within the planning legislation, you know, we had a presentation from our head of planning then, but a big part of the problem is the consultees not responding in the given time. Again, this is having a detrimental effect and a loss of earnings, not just to farmers, but to the country as a whole and to council and everything like that there. So there needs to be more done, there needs to be more common sense, there needs to be more engagement with all the stakeholders around the table. The carbon footprint is a big issue for me, so it is, and it needs to be carefully worked out going forward. You know, we're penalising the people that are putting food on our table, and we need to address that, and the Minister needs to get real and start to address the real issues that we are facing here at the coalface as local farming community. So it is. So thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Just a second, Councillor McLellan's proposal.
Okay, thank you. We have it proposed and seconded that we write to the Minister, if I heard that right. Was it in relation to this? Are we agreed? Okay, thank you. Moving on then to, and that's the schedule of documents requiring corporate seal. We have 7 items here. Can I have a proposer and a seconder, if members are content? Proposed, Alderman Berry, seconded by Councillor Duffy, and agreed. Thank you. Can I have a proposer and seconder that we go into committee for consideration of the confidential items of business? Alderman Baxter, and we're all very shy tonight. Thank you, Councillor O'Kane, and agreed. Members and listeners to the audio feed, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into a confidential session of Council. This means we'll be turning off the public audio feed of the meeting. They will be turned on again when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ICT officers, please, to turn off the feed and confirm with me when we can begin a confidential session? in open session? Thank you. Can I have a proposer and seconder to adopt the decisions taken in committee, members? Councillor McElrath and Councillor McClelland, and agreed. Thank you. Agenda item 9 brings us to any other relevant business, and Councillor Peter Lavery has indicated that he wishes to speak in relation to the DFI online portal. So, Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, for allowing to bring this AOB item. I suppose members will be familiar with the DFI online reporting service. We're frequently told by DFI that it is the best and preferred and potentially really now the only way you can get in contact to raise issues on a wide variety of matters with DFI. Not just an elected representative, but many residents of the public are proactive in getting issues reported. Unfortunately, no, Lord Mayor, I noticed a concerning issue just after Christmas, and that on the 6th of January, strong majority of cases that I was dealing with DFI had an update placed on their notice on the portal saying that, and I'm quoting, defects superseded by new inquiries, and that includes a number of inquiries that I put on relatively recently. I think that it is appalling to see that DFI are completely wiping out potentially hundreds, I think actually potentially thousands, if this issue is replicated across Northern Ireland, of issues, many of which may be concern health and safety matters, either reported by myself, members of the public, as I've said. DFI do get a lot of work because, unfortunately, whilst roads or footpaths are in such poor condition, to simply wipe them away and wipe the slate clean and saying we'll just deal with them and their next time they're inspected, which could be in a year, isn't good enough when each one of those issues could be serious in nature. I don't find it acceptable. I'm sure you don't find it acceptable either, and I'm sure many residents who do their moral public service to report issues don't find it acceptable either. Therefore, this has caused me huge concern, and as such, Lord Mayor, I'd like to write to the DFI Minister asking why this batch update, I suppose if you could call it that, was done, and if it can be undone, because I have dozens of queries that I have had to re-report to DFI, and I'm sure elected members are the same as well, because it's just not acceptable that because your department's so poorly performing, you just move on from old issues because there's that many new issues coming in. Every issue is an important issue. So I'd like to propose to write to the DFI Minister and actually the local divisional manager as well. I think it's still Cindy Noble who's acting up, to outline concerns regarding this batch update and to see what can be done to actually rectify those issues that were previously reported by elected member officials rather than just walking away from them. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery, for raising that issue tonight. It is important. It's important to people to take the time to report through this system, and your points are well made. I'll bring in Alderman Paul Berry.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm happy to second Councillor Lavery's proposal. I think it's a very, very important proposal because as elected representatives, especially over recent days and weeks, we have been getting constant calls from constituents and photographs being sent to us in relation to potholes, in relation to road defects. And as Councillor Lavery has said, quite a number of them actually probably are very, very dangerous, that it is a matter of life or death, because if in some cases the potholes that I've seen, if a motorbike or a cyclist hit them, they're in serious trouble. And today already I have 2 or 3 people contact me about roads that are already even marked and they've wrecked their tyres even this morning. So I'm happy to second that. There's something seriously wrong, and I would really love someone to come in front of me and tell me, as a councillor, when we report these defects, how are they dealt with? Because we hear from Councillor Lavery here in relation to the portal, but between the portal and emails, when you think that you're getting nowhere, are they really being picked up at all? And I would like to hear from the acting divisional manager as to what's the process as soon as councillors will send these defects through, because the general public in some cases think that we're not reporting them at all when they come to us, and then when you hear of this tonight and you hear of faults and errors, it is a serious issue, not just locally but for the minister. So it's time they acted, because the roads have never been as bad, but especially if we find that the system, they're just dropping these particular defects off. So I'm happy to second it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lavery, are you happy to incorporate what Councillor Berry has said as well? Thank you. Councillor Kyle Savage.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Yes, happy to support. I'm a great believer we should get them in the room and look into the whites of their eyes instead of sending letters, but happy to support in this situation. The state of the roads are an absolute disgrace, and it's going to cause life and death to somebody at some stage. Last night I had a call from a lady whose daughter was caught, hit a pothole close to my house. 18-year-old girl and her friend out driving, caught and parked in a dangerous position. Now, lucky enough, we were able to get her off the road, but it is going to be life and death at some situation here, and somebody needs to take account of this, and it has to be done sooner rather than later. Potholes have been reported. R1s, which are the most extreme, used to be before COVID, were fixed within 24 hours. Now it's taken 2 weeks or more. That is not acceptable, so it's not, and it has to be addressed, and they have to step up to the mark. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. The next speaker is Alderman Baxter, who is an AOB after this in relation to state of the roads. Am I right in assuming that you're going to incorporate it into this then? Thank you for that. In that case, we'll let Alderman Mark Baxter speak.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and it is in the same vein, and I think all of us as elected members, particularly over the last number of days, have fielded many complaints about potholes. Even tonight, Lord Mayor, sitting here, I just got a text message to say there's a large pothole just opened up just under the Moor Road above the Mill Hill, and there's 4 cars sitting at the side of the road with hazard lights on who have all hit it. Now, we understand that all the heavy rain and the ground saturated and the rain's making these problems worse, but in 15 years as elected representative, I have never seen the roads in as bad as a state as they are now. The potholes over the last number of days, it's just shocking. And you know what? It's out of control, and it's going to be very, very difficult to get it back. And the amount of money being claimed, the amount of claim forms that I have sent to people, and the amount of reference numbers that they have to put along with their claim that I have emailed to people over the last number of days is shockingly high. The defects are not just minor inconveniences. They're causing vehicle damage. They're posing real safety risks and placing additional pressure on households already struggling with the cost of living pressures. Not only is it tyres that they're replacing, they're having to take alloy wheels to get them welded, to get springs replaced. They're absolutely shocking. And I think this goes beyond probably the local branch. I think this needs to go to the Minister, and I'm not here to bash the Minister, but I certainly think the Minister needs to take this in hand. The Minister needs to look at our resources and how they're managed across the department, because I think it's going to get to the stage where they're going to have to get resources and channel them from somewhere else. Maybe that a major scheme that they were looking at maybe should be redeployed and actually look at the problem that we're faced with at the minute. The scale of deterioration we're seeing, it can't be addressed through short-term maintenance. I had a pothole right outside my house that I lobbied and phoned and called about on the 17th of December. It was fixed. It's now opened up again, and we're not even at the end of January. Potholes being fixed temporarily for 2 weeks isn't acceptable. You know, when you see the guys at the side of the road, and I know whenever the actual subcontractor that's not doing the work, whenever it's just the guys out of the local depot, and they're driving on the same roads and they're turning their out too. I have members from the local depot ringing me to say, look, this isn't really acceptable, but the quarry's closed down for 3 weeks over Christmas and we can't get these fixed properly. They're brushing the stones into the side of the road and using a bag of stuff, and it's lasting for a week and a half. It's a total false economy. And I would like to know, and I think we need to find out, and I know Diane Dodds MLA has actually written, maybe today, maybe Alderman Greenfield will clarify it for me, that she's actually written to see how much claims are actually being spent across these holes in Upper Bann. Because I can tell you, there's one particular hole, and I'm going to get parochial, it's on the Moygannon Road in Donnaclooney, and over the space of the last 12 hours, I know 7 people that I've sent claim forms to for the same hole. And you're talking claims of, it's going to be a couple of £100 a piece. So like £1,400 would have fixed that hole properly. And not just these minor patch jobs. Let's do the thing properly, because it's going to get to the stage where they're going to get far beyond repair, and it's going to get to the stage where we're not going to be able to repair them without serious investment. Now, I don't know, Stormont's going to have to take this in hand, the Minister's going to have to take it in hand and sort it out. So I propose tonight, and along with, happy enough to incorporate it into the letter that Councillor Lavery is writing, that we write to the Minister, and just talk about the sheer state of the roads and about what we're going to do with it, what she's going to do, and, you know, let's get a timescale in place where we're going to have this problem sorted out. And as Councillor Savage said, you'd rather see the Minister here in front of us, but I think we're maybe beyond that. And writing a letter, people are asking me, what are the council doing about it? Because the council are getting blamed for it. You know, so this is what I'm doing about it. I'm bringing it to this chamber, I'm highlighting it, I'm writing to the Minister. It's all I can do is lobby, because I'm getting blamed. I can't even go to the shop now. People are talking about the state of the roads. It's horrendous. And I have never, ever, as an elected representative in 15 years, I've had so many complaints about roads. It's an absolute disgrace, and it needs sorted out, and it needs sorted out immediately. So I would propose that that letter goes out tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to the Minister, and an urgent response is requested. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Lavery, you're happy to incorporate that there. It's going to be a big letter. Councillor Keith Radcliffe.
Look, thank you, Lord Mayor. Look, I completely agree with everything that's been said. I'd like to thank Councillor Lavery for bringing this forward, and Mark as well. With me being in rural Cusher area, the roads are absolutely unbelievably bad. They really, really are. We had a case there recently. Alderman Barry and myself both reported in the Cordrain Road there, just in between Laurelvale and Tonrigee there. It was fixed about November, December time, and it's just completely broken up again, so it's in a horrendous state. And my fear is fatalities coming forward, especially whenever we get into the better time of year, whenever people are on motorbikes on different things. And it goes as far as to say, unfortunately, DFA aren't fit for purpose. They really, you know, you're reporting for constituents. Constituents deserve to have these roads fixed. They pay their taxes and their cars, and it's just simply not good enough. So it isn't. And it's always been said, as already been said here, the general public really think that it's to do with the council, and it isn't. We can report it all right, but it falls in Stormont. So it's time that the Minister got her finger out and got this sorted out once and for all. But thanks for bringing this forward tonight. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. The mass exodus to my left, maybe they're all the way out to help fix some potholes. Look, I think I thought at the weekend that I was the only one because my phone was quite literally hopping, and areas way beyond outside my own DEA, the Newtown Hamilton / Darkley Road in Katy. I don't know how many. I think Alderman Baxter said he handed out 7. I think I've sent the link to about a dozen people for that one particular road. And where there's a really bad pothole, it's sitting on inside of a bad bend. And if someone stops and gets the wheel wrecked, another car is going to come around and hit them, and there'll be serious damage done. I know there is investment happening in the areas, but it just seems that it's not coming quick enough. And it's not been targeted at the right thing. It's patching in some places and then not resurfacing. Seems to be the issue. I think it was whenever the divisional manager was here the last time, she set out how much they had set aside to fix or to fund claims for damages, which actually exceeded the amount of money they had set aside to fix potholes. I think if politics here is that always gets a bad name, but whenever Stormont can't even fix the roads, that's where it's getting to be really, really bad. And I don't know how many times I've been asked, what am I paying my road tax for? You know, where's all the money going? It's not going into the infrastructure locally. I would support the calls to raise the issues with the department and with the Minister. The one thing I will say is, I know during the recent cold snap, the issue around grit boxes and grit piles. I actually found that online portal very useful because they were going in, printing out that list, and were working off that basis and getting grit piles replenished, etc., on a quick basis. However, just as Councillor Lavery referred to there this evening, someone actually contacted me while I was sitting here to say that not only they had logged calls 6 and 7 weeks ago, and not only has nothing happened, but the system has actually been wiped to say completely clean, as if to say it was never here, the complaint was never there in the first place. Obviously, at the minute, you'd appeal to people to slow down and just take that wee bit extra care, because the rain that's out there tonight is only exacerbating the problem. But at the same time, we should and we do expect better. And the sooner we get some investment in the roads. And the thing is, it's not just the rural roads. You go into our town centres now, and it's every bit as bad. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kyle Moutre.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Yes, I totally concur with a lot of the contributors so far in what they've said. On Saturday afternoon, I went to Moy Road in my own DEA, and I saw probably a dozen potholes. There was one pothole in particular that was so bad that it actually took Woolsey's Centre, the local filling station, a small family business, to come out and place cones on the road because it was being neglected. You know, it was totally neglected for a long, long time, and we're told by DFI to submit reports on the online portal. I've looked within the last few minutes, and some of these potholes have been sitting in the portal there for 2 and 3 weeks. Nothing is being done. It's complete and utter neglect. And it's neglect to the extent some of the contributors, Alderman Baxter and Councillor O'Hanlon, talked about compensation. I submitted a Freedom of Information request to ascertain the total sum paid out in compensation claims on the Moy Road. That's one road locally in my DEA. And it came back in the last 5 years that the sum of £27,175 has been paid out to vehicles for damage from potholes exclusively. And you think how many times that could be used to repair the road, how many times over. The taxpayers funding that 2 and 3 times over before anything is done about it. It's a complete and utter embarrassment. So I just wanted to make that point. The compensation here, I have an inbox full at the minute of people that are adding to that bill because, and rightly so, they want that compensation because they're driving over roads that are not fit for purpose.
Okay, Councillor Lavelle McElrath is the last speaker.
Thank you. Thanks, Lord Mayor. Listen, I've heard quite a bit tonight about safety and road safety and potential for serious injuries or even worse. And I did note over the weekend that some councillors in another area met with the police and DFI, and the road was actually closed. It was so bad, so it remains closed until those potholes are repaired. And I would say to members tonight, if you have a road, particularly as we do now have, as somebody else has alluded to, it's not just B and C class roads, it's A class roads, 60-mile-an-hour roads, or even vehicles travelling faster than that. And in some circumstances, if they hit a pothole at that speed, there is quite likely going to be a collision. I was at one, and the Cusher members will know this as well, between Shelburne and Ballylisk. Now, there may have been some of them repaired today, I'm not quite sure, I haven't got checking, but there was a windscreen line at one, so that was the force of hitting that pothole, had removed a windscreen from a vehicle. There was enough wheel trims to start a business, and springs and all sorts of things. But members, if you do get a road in such a state that you feel it is, I believe you should be contacting PSNI as well. And as I say, I know of at least one road over the weekend that was closed. Such was the depth of the potholes on both sides of the road, because people trying to take evasive action at high speed is really, really dangerous. So that's just a point, maybe, Lord Mayor, for members to bear in mind. It may also focus minds as well from DFI in some circumstances. But no, that's just something, just a point there, Lord Mayor. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McElrath. And that letter will go off to the department as soon as possible. Thank you everyone for your contributions tonight, a very serious issue. And let's hope that somebody on up the chain's listening to the genuine calls from members of this council. Members, that brings us to the end of tonight's business. Can I thank you all for your contributions, for your attendance, and wish you a safe home, especially on a bad windy night out there. Take care. Thank you. Bye.